Experience well-being practices for your workday. As Cooler's CEO and head of product and experience, June taps into her multidiscipline design background to ensure that each workshop, coaching card set, and box experience is well received, impactful, and enjoyable. As founder of Junius Coffee, one of the first companies in the US to provide cold brew coffee as an office perk, June saw firsthand how great perks, programs, and staff engagement became a pivotal staple of company culture. At the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, June designed Cooler for companies to show appreciation and create shared experiences in a deeper way as we move forward into a work frontier with new challenges and parameters. Welcome, June. Joining June in conversation is Laurent, the co-founder and head of coaching at Cooler. He drives the development of Cooler's well-being card sets and workshops that take on the challenges staff are facing in the changing workforce. Laurent is a professional leadership coach and is the former global head for staff and leadership development for a finance institution with offices in 130 plus countries. He is passionate about helping others develop problem-solving strategies to navigate change and achieve their personal and development goals. I'll pass the mic to both of you. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much. I am going to start us off by sharing our experiential session deck. 1 moment, please. Can you enable screen sharing for me? Thank you. Here we go.
All right. Great. So it's going to be an experiential session. And so what that means is that we're going to guide you through a series of activities, practices. And the idea is for you to kind of go along, enjoy yourself, and build on this to kind of start initiating some new momentum on your well-being. And so this session is called Well-Being Reboot. So let's ask ourselves this question below first. And what is one thing that I have done for my well-being in the past months? And so write this in the chat, and that would be the chat in the Power to Fly Summit chat room. So take a few seconds to think. What's one thing that I have done for my well-being in the past months? And when we do those workshops within organizations, there's a power of sharing and getting inspired by each other. So I give it a few more seconds. And let's put that in the chat and let's press enter. So enter all of those in the chat. I'm assuming this is going through the, yes, I see Christopher planned a vacation. Great. So enter this into the chat. And June, if you want to, love it. Took a solo trip, attended yoga, spa day, exercising, trying to get more sleep, meditation. Yes. So all of those things are what helps us build our own well-being. And what we had here on the screen was what in a recent workshop, what folks have been answering. So over to you, June.
Wonderful. Welcome. And thank you so much for joining us. I'm June. I'm Cooler's co-founder, and I lead our user experience. Laurent is our other co-founder, and he's an executive coach and leads our content development. Today, we're going to take you through Cooler's Wellbeing Reboot workshop as a group. It's a shortened 30-minute version of a 60-minute workshop we deliver for companies and organizations. And in our time together, we are going to look at habit formation. We are going to do a self-reflection exercise called routine reboot. And we're going to experience 3 mini well-being practices. And as part of slowing down, Laurent and I are going to turn off our cameras to lessen distraction, and we're going to create a space for everyone to slow down and focus. Just a reminder to have pen and paper nearby for one of our exercises, and I want to confirm with you that we'll be done in just under the half hour. What we hope that you take away from this time is a strong sense of how small foundational practices can have an exponential benefit, and that they can be very easy to integrate throughout your day. It's our goal for you after this session to feel refreshed, connected, and have a positive mindset. Also a heads up that if you like what you experienced today, we have regular prompts on our social media, our LinkedIn and Instagram specifically, and they are daily moments of self-reflection and other well-being prompts. And starting tomorrow, which is actually World Health Day, we'll have 7 days of posts to keep you going with all of the good momentum from what you do with us today. We always welcome you to reach out to us directly, and this information will be available at the end of the session as well. So without further ado, let's begin our well-being reboot.
All right. And so first, we're going to spend a few minutes together on habit formation, how habits get formed, and more specifically, what's going on in your brain so that you can trick your brain into helping you create and sustain new habits. So how are habits actually formed? It is about your brain keeping score with positive outcomes that are associated with an action or a behavior that gets repeated successfully and consistently over time. So that's it. It's repetition, reward, and time. What you may not realize is that about 40% of your actions in any single day are habits that are performed on autopilot. So think about when you're brushing your teeth, or you open the microwave, you're sitting down, all of those function on autopilot, right? 40% of any single day actions. So some tips to help our brain create and sustain new habits. So first, what research is telling us is that it takes about 3 weeks of repetitions for your brain to create and strengthen a habit. And research is also telling us that for your brain, there's not much difference whether you're doing or whether you're visualizing the action or the behavior, right? So all counts as repetition as far as your brain is concerned. And now a word of caution, what that also means is that it gets both ways. So if I procrastinate about a behavior that I want to move away from, just thinking about it can actually strengthen it. So rather than procrastinating on it, just acknowledge it and then move on and refocus, right? So in summary, we can help our brain learn new habits through intentional repetition of a desired behavior, and visualizing that behavior also count as repetition. So we've covered habit formation, and let us actually go ahead and identify some new habits that could serve us for our well-being for a key moment of our day. And for this, June is going to guide us through an exercise.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, so now is the time to grab a piece of paper and a pen. And like Laurent mentioned, a lot of what we do every day is on autopilot. So what we're going to do for this self-reflection exercise called routine reboot is we're going to focus on our evening routines. This is an easy 2-part exercise. And just note that this won't be shared with the group in the way that we did in the opener. This is all going to kind of reside on your paper for now. We're going to take the paper and write down the things that we do in the last hour leading up to bedtime. So prep your piece of paper, draw a vertical line down the middle if you want, and focus on the left side. On a typical night, what are the things you do in the last hour leading up to bedtime? This could look the same each night. It could be a list combining different things you do through the week. The list doesn't need to be perfect. Just go ahead and visualize. What are the things you do in the last hour leading up to bed? And I'm going to pause and we'll take 1 minute from here to build our lists. Okay, finish up your list there. Any last items you want to add? And Laurent is going to take us through part 2 of the exercise.
Right. So part 2 of the exercise is I'm going to guide you through some reflection. So we're going to look at this list and we're going to reflect on it. And it's going to be 5 areas, 5 questions. So first, let's start with what is your favorite thing or something that you know helps you wind down if you are sure to do it in the last hour before bed? June shared with me that her favorite thing is when she gets time in for reading in the evening. For me, I have developed a small aromatherapy routine that helps me. So do you have a favorite thing, something that helps you wind down in the evening? So go ahead and write it down on the right side of your paper. The next area, so let's take a look at your list on the left of your paper. What is something that you do before going to bed that is not helpful to winding down? And how would you change that? So let's take a few moments and let's write that down on the right side of the paper. How would you change that? The next area is, are you taking any moments to clear your mind? So if not, is there a part of your routine on the left where you could take 2 to 5 minutes to sit quietly, maybe to be reflective, to breathe, or just take a moment to pause? So look at your list on the left side of your paper. Is there a space where you could insert that? And the next area, it's a big one. What are your tech boundaries with your electronic devices in the evening? So we know that the blue light from the devices typically trick your brain into staying awake. So how is tech impacting the end of your evening? And what do you want to do about it? So write that down, if any, on the right side of your paper. And the final area is how many hours of sleep do you need to show up at your best? What feels good to you? So how does that align with the ideal 7 to 9 hours of sleep that we often hear about? So just take a moment to check in and think about the time at which you wake up, typically in the morning, and then work that back. Is your bedtime aligned with the number of hours you need to show up at your best? So check that in and write on the right side of your paper if you want to do something about it. Okay, so we're going to close out this 9-time routine reboot. And for this, our last step is to identify one thing that you want to be sure that you do or don't do, or maybe do differently in the last hour before going to bed. And here, what we are asking you is write it down on your paper as a commitment. So I commit to blank. Right, so have a look at your list on both sides of the paper. Is there one commitment that you want to make to yourself, and write it as a commitment? I'll give it a few more seconds. All right, and the idea behind writing it as a commitment is that when you write something down like this, the likelihood of doing it, following through, is increased by 90%. So that's why we are so intentional about it. Very good. Well, let's move to our next activity. June?
Okay, now we're going to do something really important and a linchpin of well-being practice, and that's that we're going to do a pause practice. This is literally an intentional 2-minute short break we're going to do together for resetting your mind. And why we do this is because a lot of us think that we need to just push all through the workday. But the truth is, a simple 2 to 5 minute break can really help you reset and move into a new project or a new meeting more energized and focused. And this is something you can do in your morning routine or evening routine as well. So this is very simple. We're all just going to sit quietly for 2 minutes. Laurent and I will be quiet as well. Don't look at your screen. Don't look at your phone. Just look around your environment and notice the things around you. Take some deep breaths and take these 2 minutes to just be. So take a couple intentional breaths to start, and we'll start the 2 minutes now. All right. How did that feel to take just 2 minutes to pause? I usually feel pretty refreshed after just 2 minutes. So give yourself just a little personal rating. Give yourself a thumbs up if that was easy for you to do and you feel refreshed. Give yourself a sideways thumb if it was a little challenging. Give yourself the thumbs down if it was a little hard to pause. It can take practice to feel comfortable taking short breaks. Laurent?
Yeah, and it's a great example of the benefit of taking just 2 minutes, right? This was just 2 minutes. And so we can plan it in our calendar. We can try to do it on the hour or try integrating it in, before meetings in the course of the day. And the idea is to repeat it enough time that it becomes a basic habit for you, right? It's back to habit formation. So let's now move to another practice. And that's a practice that can really boost your well-being and that we often don't think about. And that's a gratitude practice. Also, we also call it sometimes the appreciation practice. So in the brain, when you're during an event of gratitude, what's going on is that the brain releases dopamine and serotonin, and that's a feel-good chemical. So you instantly feel, in a good mood, happy. And what's also going on at the same time is that your hypothalamus gets stimulated. And what that really means is that your stress level goes down, right? So it has a positive effect on your stress. And so as gratitude becomes a practice, a habit, the effect of dopamine, serotonin, and the hypothalamus being stimulated, it becomes longer lasting and longer lasting. And what research has shown is that there are a few tricks that can help to actually multiply that effect. So if you name the gratitude, if you write it down, or if you share it, the effect is multiplied. And within the workplace, as team members get to do that, what you get at is that people feel valued, have more confidence, and the workplace as a whole start benefiting from a well-being perspective. So let's actually go ahead and do one of those. June, why don't you take us there?
Perfect. We're going to do another share in the group chat, this time with the questions on the screen. When we do this with teams or whole staff, it's a great infusion of positive energy in the team, and we'll see that here as a group too. We'll do the same thing we did in the beginning. So type your answer when you have it and don't hit send or enter until we say go. So in the chat, answer one of the following 2 questions. What is something you're grateful for over the past week? Or what is something you're looking forward to soon? We'll take another couple moments here. Everybody's getting their answer queued up. And if you're ready, you can go ahead and hit enter. This is one of our favorite parts of a live workshop. And on the screen, you can see some things that people posted in our last session. Lots of friends and family, activities that they love, lots of getting outside these days.
Right, and they're coming through the chat. Think family at Easter, looking forward to family gathering. Yes. Improve health. So time with children, all of that. And as you start reading those in the chat, you can also see that reading them help connection and belonging, right? So when you do this as a group, you have also this extra effect, this additional impact as a group of gratitude. So how do we transform this practice into a habit? Well, the first tip is really easy, right? Show gratitude often. The next one is, it's around building a practice. So keep a list somewhere where you already write. So maybe it could be a journal, it could be your planner, it could be a stack of Post-its, right? Anywhere you're already writing things, keep a list of your gratitude. and try to integrate them daily, maybe as part of another activity. The one that we really like with June is find an accountability partner with whom you're going to share gratitude daily. And that one is a sure one to move from a one-off practice to a habit.
Okay, perfect. We have covered so much in just this short time today, and I want to recap that before we do our final activity that turns what we did today into action. So we've covered habits, we've looked at our evening routines, we've taken a micro break, we looked at gratitude, and what we really want you to take away is that these small practices can have big impacts. Also, today is an example where we've experienced well-being as individuals, but we are also seeing that it can be part of a collective. And this is one way that Cooler brings well-being into action with groups on the organizational or company level by creating these moments of easy sharing and connection.
So our last activity, and it's probably the most important one because it gets you to start on your well-being reboot post this session, is that in the chat, without hitting send yet, let's answer this question. What's one thing I will start today or tomorrow for my well-being self-care? And let's write it in the form of I commit to. So I commit to blank, starting blank, right? So let's write it that way. I commit to blank, starting blank. And I'll give it a few seconds for you to cue it into the chat. And you can type enter. All right. So as these are coming up in the chat, so it's typically very inspiring to see what well-being practices are being prioritized. And when we do this within organization, we like to actually read it aloud. It's a very powerful send-off. So it really encourages the feeling of connecting with each other, belonging, and show us that well-being is something that everyone is working on. So we hope you continue your commitments and well-being practices with momentum. And if you want to have an extra push, so tomorrow, a reminder, we are starting for World Health Day. We are starting 7 days of posts related to what we did today on both Instagram and LinkedIn. And we hope you'll join us to keep your momentum going.
Awesome. Thank you both for walking us through that. I really appreciate the intentionality there. Good luck with everything that you're kicking off tomorrow. Thank you for reminding us that we're celebrating our wellness on a global spectrum. And thank you all for writing in the chat box to participate. Enjoy the rest of your day at Cooler, and we look forward to supporting the work that you all are bringing to our work. Thank you.
Have a great day, everyone.